All right, so this week's weekly challenge is week 86, press space to space. The idea of the challenge is the only control you can use over your aircraft or spacecraft or rocket or whatever is the spacebar. No WASD for control, no pitch, roll, or yaw. You can use SAS and you can put it up to full throttle, but once you press space, that is the only button you can press. Now, I found that somewhat fun, but I thought something more fun would be to only press the spacebar once. So you saw me launch there. I pressed the spacebar once, and I will not touch anything for the entire rest of this flight. And I will end up in a stable orbit. So, it only works maybe 1 out of every 5 times with this craft. It's completely dependent upon how the aircraft is bouncing on the launch clamps. If you don't release at the right time, you're not going to make it properly into orbit. You're going to go up too fast and not have enough speed. You're going to go too low and explode. It's a super narrow window, and the only way I've been able to figure out if I'm going to do it before I'm completely done with the burn is by looking at the marker I have on this island. If I come between 17.4 and 17.8 kilometers at closest approach, then I have a shot at making it. If I'm anywhere outside of there, I have to restart. This craft will make it. It's just really dependent upon a whole lot of variables. Hoping everything stays stable. If you start kicking off of the 90-degree vector, you might as well start over. You're going to get an uncontrollable rotation. So a little bit about this aircraft. We've got 2 turbojets and 2 Rapiers there. Rapiers are set to auto cycle, and they are thrust controlled at the moment. I think I have it limited to like 40. But once they kick over to chemical, they will be completely uncontrolled in terms of thrust. Then I've locked the gimbal on that as well to take advantage of the center of gravity being very far forward. So once we get out of the atmosphere, the idea is the nose will tilt downward, which will let me circularize the orbit. Now, it happens a little too quickly without help. So you can see I have 2 little tiny liquid fuel motor. I don't even know what you would call that. They only put out 2 kilonewtons of thrust each, and I have those limited to 85.5, and that seems to be pretty much dead on. So we're up here at the top of the atmosphere, and at 29,800 meters, it'll kick over to my chemical rockets now. And yeah, now everything looks to be good. We're dead on center on the 90-degree vector. We don't have any amount of roll going on. All that's left to do is let it burn out and see what happens. Now you'll see small movements down in the left-hand corner for throttle, or not throttle, ship controls. That's not me, that's all SAS. I am not touching the keyboard at all. I think during this I was actually making a sandwich. I probably took about 100 attempts or more at making this craft. Most of that was trying to keep it all balanced. The key to it was to lock the gimbal on the Rapier so that I can get the tilt when I get up into orbit. Otherwise, you just keep thrusting upward and outward, which does not circularize. And then it was lots and lots and lots of trial and error to figure out how much thrust was needed for those front boosters there. Or not boosters, the front little tiny motors. Alright, and now you can see as we're leaving the atmosphere, we've now lost all aerodynamic control. All we have is the capsule torque and the balance of the motors. Since I am dead on and I have no roll, I'm tilting just super straight for a perfect kind of turn to circularize the orbit. There's the game changing my kind of reference frame. And there's me lining it up again. And I have no idea why this happens or what the SAS thinks it's doing. But as I would hit the exactly 90-degree perpendicular to the Kerbal, it would start to go sideways. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I ended up really, really close to orbit a few times, but this time I did it. I am in orbit, no controls, just pressing the spacebar off the runway. And I am in a stable orbit, 91,000 meter periaps, 3 million meter apoaps. I'm not going to fall back to Kerbal. Those guys are up there until I decide that they need a rescue. There we go. If you guys liked it, go ahead and check out my channel. Like, subscribe. I have all sorts of good videos and going to do all the weekly challenges and whatnot. I'll see you guys next time.